following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
It's a terrible day for rain on this episode of the Toonami Faithful Podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have...
your friendly co-host, Kuro.
And...
Streamin' Steven, heading up the stream.
And...
an editorial writer, Laser Kid.
And joining us again...
Laser Kid's partner in crime and co-host of a different podcast, the Simudub Saints, Archangel.
Welcome back, Ark. Glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me.
Past couple of weeks we only had 3 people, but this time we have 5.
It's a Simudub Saint invasion.
Indeed. We'll talk more about Simudub Saints at the end.
Ooh.
But today we're talking about 2 episodes of Tokyo Revengers, along with the latest episodes of Blue Lock and Rooster Fighter. And this time we're going to kick things off with a couple of very interesting episodes of Tokyo Revengers.
Very intense episodes. So,
yeah.
Episode 9, Revolt, begins with Takemichi continuing to search for Draken with Mitsuya, who explains that Pei believes that Tomon betrayed Pa and has joined forces with Mobius in order to target Draken. As Draken prepares to confront Pei, he's suddenly struck from behind with a bat. I mean, yeah, that's how these guys work. They're cowards, and they don't play fair. At that point, Takemichi remembers, as he's still searching for Draken, remembers Naoto's newspaper clipping, which talked about a parking lot incident, and so he rushes to get there, where he discovers Draken is being overwhelmed by enemies, but he is valiantly fighting them off. He's left several bloody and beat up in his wake. At that point, Mitsuya rightfully calls Pei out as a traitor, and Emma also mocks him for needing an entire Mobius crew just to confront Draken. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. That's a fucking cowardly move. You have a problem with someone, you go up and you take it up with them, you piece of shit. Anyway, exhausted and quite beat up, Draken feels like he's about to pass out, so he entrusts the situation to Mitsuya, who also turns out to be a badass, while Takemichi panics because he's not seeing Kiyomasa yet. Just then, Mikey arrives on his bike, and he deduces that he was lured away from the festival to create an opportunity to ambush Draken. And he knows that this was part of a plan to let him take the blame and ultimately split Tomon in half. Mikey's definitely smarter than he seems. At this point, a high schooler comes out, because obviously this isn't all Pei, and his name is Hanma. He reveals himself to be Mobius's leader currently, and he declares that his original intention was to dismantle Tomon using internal conflict. Mikey goes to kick him in the face, but he's able to use a solid kick defense that was perfect, by the way, with the 2 arms. I mean, just 10 out of 10, no notes. Yeah, he's also a little scary. Hanma summons a very large force of about 100 Mobius members, and Takemichi is still panicking because all these changes in history were not what he remembers happening, and he is afraid that he is the cause of this current situation. But lucky for them, the rest of the Tokyo Manji gang members arrive, which tips the balance, and they are ready to fight. And at this point, it turns into a full-scale brawl. Amidst all the fighting chaos, Takemichi desperately searches for Draken in order to protect him. I don't know how he thinks he's going to, but he has a moment of despair when he falls into the mud, because the whole time this is happening, it's raining. But he finds his resolve again, and is determined to stop Kiyomasa. Meanwhile, Mikey confronts Pe, who lashes out on him by smacking him repeatedly with these lame punches, and accuses him of abandoning Pa. Mikey allows Pe to vent his frustrations and hit him, and he insists that he still cares deeply for Pa and does not want to fight his friend. He even graciously invites him back into the fold, which honestly, I don't think he deserves it. I think he deserves an ass whooping, but hey, I'm not in a gang, so I don't understand all the rules. Eventually, Takamichi discovers he comes across Kiyomasa holding a bloody knife and rambling to himself about getting Draken. And in horror, then Takamichi discovers Draken collapsed on the ground in a pool of his own blood. Can I just say, did anyone notice during all of this the irony of Takamichi wearing a t-shirt that says love and peace?
I noticed that now on this one, but on the next one.
Funny. It is so funny to me.
I figured it was a Trigun reference.
Might have been.
It might have been.
I thought it was meant to be cruel irony.
It might be that too. Why not?
Although that would make it an even more meta Trigun reference.
Well, to be fair, he didn't really have an opportunity to change his shirt before entering the gang brawl.
No, but it is pretty funny. One of the things that I thought was pretty noticeable is the actual level of fighting has gained some skill. Like there was some really good fisticuffs happening, like some actual skillful boxing moves happening here. It was pretty impressive. Like before, you're just seeing Takamichi get his ass whooped by, like guys like Pa who are just using their fists, who have no skill and like dodging and weaving or blocking or even doing like really good punches. But like I saw like a flying knee. I saw some really nice kicks. I saw some really nice punches. Like there's some skilled brawling happening here. There's some practice that's been going on amongst these gang members.
I think it's more that they had to rise to the occasion. It's easy to just be lazy when you don't have a real threat. When you have a real threat, you got to pull out everything you got. That's my read on it.
Unless you're Takamichi, apparently.
Talking.
I'm assuming that, since we've never seen any of these members, they're like upper echelon members, that they're practiced, that they are experienced.
That's fair.
They're experienced brawlers.
Assumes, yeah. They
know what they're doing because they were eager for the fight and they're reacting quite well to the fight. So, I just got the impression that these were all his gang officers,
Yeah, I got that same feel.
Yes. How do we feel about the whole Pe being manipulated, betraying, the gang and Draken and all that jazz?
He's being really, really dumb, but it's understandable given his connection and everything. He's feeling like they've betrayed a person he cares about.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also being dumb because literally, hey, why are you guys doing this? And but he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Communication, Pe. Communication.
Yeah, no, going to a rival gang, taking an internal matter externally is against the basic rules of conduct, at least.
Thank you.
I have
a huge problem with that.
So, I mean, unless he's going to actually defect, then like, what is he thinking? Does he think he can still remain members? No. Either you deal with things internally or you join Mobius like a bitch, but you would actually join them. It's like, if I were Mikey, I'd let him punch me, but then I would rip his uniform off and say, "You're not." I love you. Yeah, no, I love you, man, but you're not welcome here anymore.
Well, the irony is that all of this is originated with Mobius to begin with. His own friend was fighting Mobius because of what happened with them. So, like, what are you doing, bro?
Even then, that would be quite merciful on Mikey's part because, I mean, I don't know much about gang culture, certainly not in Japan. In the United States, if you'll pardon my French, the general expression is blood in, blood out, motherfucker. In that, in order to join the gang, you have to show that you're tough enough to take a beating. And if you want out, they beat the shit out of you. And it's like, if you want out, sure, but there's a cost to get in, there's a cost to get out, is the idea. I'm pretty sure it works differently in Japan, but I'm sure it's just as severe.
Feel like if they're working on an honor system, which
I'm going to be honest.
supposedly Japanese culture has a lot of that ingrained. I would think that betraying your gang, A, and then B, doing it to the people that had initially caused the source of the betrayal would be ultimately the most dishonorable action you can take.
Yeah. Hay comes off not the smartest guy out of it. Because it would be one thing, like Ark said, if he's just like, nope, I'm done. I'm diehard going to the other side now. Screw you. And I think thought he was doing that, but clearly he wasn't committed. This guy didn't process anything, didn't talk to anyone, just goes, oh, I'm going to go do this thing now. It is literally like, yeah, I don't think I'd let him back in if I was Mikey either. But I think that shows you who Mikey is.
Right. I think just from knowing how discipline works within any organization like that, you can't allow something to even small things, you can't allow it to go unpunished or discipline breaks down. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, even letting him go without like killing him or something, or whatever the prescribed penalty is, Mikey's taking a huge risk to his own authority and the integrity of the gang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's bound to be somebody who has problems with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is anime, and as I will rail about later, they're going for dramatic effect over any sort of realism,
sure,
at least in terms of the fighting. So
I'll agree with that.
Let's give that a pass. Because if I started griping about realism in this show, I'd just give myself an aneurysm. So,
well, especially given the consequence of this betrayal is that Draken gets stabbed. So obviously, regardless of the outcome, which I'm assuming, like everything might work out okay, but putting that aside, how can you let the guy who let your gang member be stabbed? How could you ever trust him again?
Honestly,
you can't ever trust him again. It's like Kuhan all over again. Like, no, we're never trusting you again, motherfucker.
If I could quote the great manipulator himself, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, I could never bring myself to trust a traitor, even one that I created.
Yeah. Good point. Sketch, any thoughts besides what I've mentioned? Any thoughts about this episode?
Well, I do think Pe is exceedingly ridiculous at this point. Pa surrendered. Pa wanted to own up to the whole thing. He thought he probably thought he actually killed the guy. But in the end, he's only serving 1 year of prison. Why are you so mad about your friend going to prison for 1 year? It's
for something he definitely did.
For something he definitely did. Not only that, like, in that instance, Mikey absolutely had Pa's back throughout that entire time. I know he's really mainly going after Draken, because Draken was like, I don't know if we should be going after Mobius. I mean, we should think about this. But that's an even flimsier reason to do, like, you're gonna kill this guy? You're gonna at least seriously harm this guy for a difference in opinion?
Yeah.
It's like, such a dumbass.
Do you want somebody that dumb around in the game?
No.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
But the other thing is, like, what? He obviously had no idea what he was doing. But, like, I almost wonder if he just wanted to watch Tomon burn because he felt slighted by how that all went with Pa. Like,
that is the only closest, like, most potentially rational explanation.
He might not actually be trying to join Mobius. He just wants to use them.
He doesn't care. Just wants to watch everything burn. Yeah.
I actually don't think that's what he was going for. I think that's what Han was going for.
But also, and this might be giving Pe way too much credit, maybe he's thinking, okay, will I set against these two leaders against each other, and then the Tomon that comes out of that, I'll want to be in that Tomon.
I could actually see that being his
But
logic.
will they want to have you? That's the
Yeah.
question.
Apparently, Mikey says so. Mikey, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve a little too much here. Like, I understand you don't want to fight with your family, but is this guy really your family?
I personally, I am very dogmatic when it comes to betrayal. Like a Benedict Arnold is always a Benedict Arnold. You can't redeem yourself.
Yep.
You're fucked. Get out.
Yep, and
You know?
he was a fucking war hero. Remember, he was. Without him, hitherto, we would
That's true.
not be a country right now.
Yeah, he won in New
And
York,
so
but
that made it even worse. Yeah, well, that made it even worse. Is the thing.
yeah, dirty trader. Once you become a dirty trader, and it does it, and it sullies your reputation. So all the good
no.
things you do are negated because of that bad thing, because it's so
Right.
bad. It is so
Exactly.
harmful. And I totally understand. Like I do feel that strongly about betrayal. So in this case, like I find I get Mikey is a big like my gang is my family type of guy, but I just feel like he's so wrong here.
I
He's
just
so wrong.
want to call in the guy from Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting to set all these kids straight. Imagine throwing him into the middle of this. He would just beat everyone to within an inch of their life.
If we want to take outside shows, I want freaking the Windbreaker to go up.
Who's the other, the Yakuza dad, who's the Yakuza house husband who retires and becomes a house husband? I want to hear his take on this.
The only thing that mitigates pay somewhat, and I have to stress somewhat, it is not total mitigation. He was clearly being worked on mentally by this Hanma guy. He's being used on.
Sure, he's being manipulated. Yeah.
There's some mitigation.
Help.
It doesn't help a lot, but it does help some. It's the slightest barest bit of mitigation. It is better than the alternative, but it's still not good. I'm just trying to be fair. The thing about this episode for me, though, that sticks out for me is just the overwhelming despair. Going into this episode, and especially going out, I'm like, oh no, we can't save him, can we?
Well, not with that attitude.
Well, it was running through my head. I'm just telling you how that was I'm sitting here going, oh no. It doesn't mean give up on that. Obviously. That's not happening. That's not who Takamichi is. But I'm just sitting here going, oh no, this entire time in the back of my head.
Steven, we haven't heard from you yet. Do you have any thoughts about this episode?
I mean, you all said it. Pei's an idiot. So I mean, he's just following commands. Like he thinks he's gonna do something, and like Sketch said, no one wants that type of person in their family. No one wants that weird uncle that like does stuff and everything. And it's like you have to put up with him, sure, on Thanksgiving and that, but no one really wants to do anything with him, and he's kind of acting like that, and it's like. I don't know, and then I don't know. He's like he thinks he's on some type of weird vengeance quest, and he needs to redeem himself with honor and all this stuff. But dude, there's other ways to do it. You either get out of the gang, or you suck it up and you just say, "Hey, I'm leaving." I get there's honor and all this among maybe gangs and all this other stuff, but. You're going about it the wrong way, and it's like I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just real quick. It just occurred to me that if this guy really wanted to take full revenge on Mikey and the gang, what he could really do is turn state's evidence.
Yeah, I mean, we.
You know what? That would have been a much more. That would have made so much more sense if he had gone to the cops and just decided to report on the gang. I can understand that as a retaliatory action much better than going to the gang that caused your friend to go to jail in the first place.
That's another thing.
That makes no sense.
Where is where are the plainclothes, slick-looking police officers who act barely different from the Yakuza that you see in all these shows? Where are they keeping these kids under control? It's like, hey, watch
I think it's
yourself.
because they're children. I think the whole point is because they're kids, there's like not really
right. But wouldn't the cops want to make sure to put the fear of God into them while they're young? And it's like,
this is the common thing that has been said about the show. Pretty much, I think all of us at one point or another. And honestly, at this point, the point of admittance into the suspension of disbelief, clearly the police don't care for whatever reason. The amount of care that is being given from the adults in this world towards this is minimal to non-existent for no stated reason. For some people I know, this is a major point of contention for this show. For others, it's like, well, it's annoying, but I can deal with it.
Oh, there's so many things I could pick at.
But honestly, I agree.
What it boils down to, and this is why I'm not a huge fan of this show, but it's basically suspend your disbelief or just don't bother.
You do. Admittedly, that is a huge factor of the show. You have to suspend your disbelief because the threads can unravel with a couple details. You have to kind of let it play out and hope that it resolves itself.
Although, I actually had this conversation on Twitter earlier today. From my own personal experience in childhood, you don't have to suspend your disbelief that much. When I was in middle school, I was bullied pretty badly. I was assaulted. And the best help I got, and I put quotes on best, was getting thrown in-house suspension with my attacker for being involved in a fight. Sometimes adults don't care.
There's that. Okay, but here's the thing. You weren't running around with dozens of children in uniform with knives.
I didn't say that that what was going on is completely realistic. It's like it's not as much of a stretch as you might think. It is a stretch, no question about that.
I take that point.
Yeah. Any further thoughts about this episode before we move on to episode 10? I'm going to take that as a no. So, episode 10, Re-Rise. We see at the beginning Hinata. It was a little funny moment where they go one direction and then they reverse and go in the other. If it weren't so grim, obviously, but Hinata witnesses them and then she takes off in the direction that Takemichi runs. Meanwhile, in the present tense, Takemichi tearfully conveys to Mikey that Draken has been stabbed in the stomach. Mike tries to come to him, but he's unable to as Hanma confronts him. And as they start fighting, Hanma proves to be fairly equal to Mikey's combat prowess. That was an impressive fight as well, actually. I enjoyed
Incredible.
that one. Yeah, it was good animation. Realizing that Draken is still alive, Takemichi sits there, like a dumbass doing nothing while Mikey fights. And then he decides he's going to pick up and carry him fireman style. Pause. Okay, children. Here's what you do when someone is stabbed. You pick them up underneath the arms and remove them from the harmful situation. Then you make sure you put pressure on the wound while you or someone nearby calls 911. Do not put them over your back fireman style with the direction of the wound hanging down. This is how you lose blood. This is not how you help somebody. This was all wrong.
Oh God, he should be
wrong.
How did he not get blood all over himself?
But I also, I don't know that Dimitri would know that it's wrong. But you are
no, but that's the thing. But the guy should be dead the guy should be dead several times over by the end of the episode.
Well, you want to talk about that?
He should have completely exsanguinated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Not putting any pressure on the wound that whole time.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Get him on his back, put pressure on the wound. Yeah, and he's been stabbed in the fucking abdomen. There's no place you can get stabbed in the abdomen that isn't a massive emergency. I don't think.
Takemichi is not 14 years old. He's a 20-something-year-old man in a 13, 14-year-old's body. So he has at some point in the next 7, 8 years of his life learned that the basics of wound care, that, or at least he's seen them on television. So I don't feel like saying he's young and doesn't know.
Have you seen his?
That's an excuse.
Kuro?
I don't think that's an excuse.
Have you seen his house?
I'm I think you're giving him too much credit.
There's that.
Maybe.
I'd say the fault lies with, what's the kid's name who grows up to be a police officer?
No,
The little one?
Naoto.
Naota. I think
I agree.
the fault with this lies squarely with adult Naota.
Yeah,
Instead
he
of
didn't train
trying
him
to,
in any kind
instead
of
of,
fisticuffs, self-defense,
Yeah,
or,
he should-
or,
yeah.
or like first aid. He trained him in
first
nothing.
aid, anything.
Just send him
Yeah,
back
he
into
just
a
tried
group
to
of gang
cram a
with
whole
no
bunch
skills.
of unrelated facts into his brain that he has no context for. And let's face it, he's not bright enough to make heads or tails of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naoto definitely has a major suck factor here because he didn't do any preparation for this, and he
On this,
obviously
I
He didn't
completely
could
think
have.
it through. He didn't think it through. He was thinking from the point of view of an investigator, not. I don't think he's ever run an undercover agent. That's
All right,
what this
we'll give him
screams
that.
to me.
I just get so I'm just like all of this was done so wrong, and anyway I'll get
Oh,
back
yeah.
get back at you.
It was. You're not wrong.
Once
about
I
that
got
one.
past my frustration, yes, he basically infers that he's going to carry him to the hospital, at which point he runs into the girls, who have very wisely called for an ambulance. He puts him down, and the three wait there when Kiyomasa shows up with his lackeys and corners them. Draken tries to tell Takamichi to run with the girls, and Takamichi kind of freezes, has some internal monologue, and he refuses to leave. He decides he's not going to run away ever again, and I think he's referring to having run away as a child from all the gang stuff. He confronts Kiyomasa to, quote, settle things from their initial one-on-one where he got his butt kicked. The girls and Draken all bet on Takamichi, which I like that. It was a good tactic because it's empowering to Takamichi, and it also, if they're inferring they're putting money on it, it can keep potentially the other gang from interfering in the fight. So
Anything you
he
could do
goes
to buy time.
Yeah.
But that's
I thought that
that's
was
this whole
clever.
segment is just everyone is buying time.
Buying
I love that, to be honest, because they know the ambulance is coming, and even I was screaming at the screen to Takamichi, call 911 or whatever Japan's 911 is.
Yeah, he's not very bright. Anyway, Kiyomasa.
That or Mikey or somebody might get free of the fight and show up. You never know.
Anywho, Takamichi goes to attack Kiyomasa, who stabs him in the hand with his knife, proving that he never intended to have a fair fight, and he then threatens to kill him along with Draken. Takamichi pulls the knife out of his hand and launches himself at Kiyomasa. At this point, we have a very
use the knife.
nicely ill-timed flashback. Yeah, he tosses it away because he's not a jackass. He does not. Also, don't use a knife.
The knife.
But if you don't know how to use a knife, I disagree. One of the things we were taught in self-defense is if you don't know how to use a weapon, don't use the weapon because it can be taken from you and then used against you. And Takamichi doesn't know
he has any sort of training or awareness.
That's a good point.
For a dramatic thing. If you want to get rid of the knife, you'd have it and the guy slap it away and it goes over the fence like it eventually did. It's like, come on. But again, if he's going into full fucking crazy mode, go into crazy mode.
No, I disagree vehemently. This could have gone wrong so many ways if he tried with the knife. It could have. He wouldn't know what he was doing.
He would have been overpowered by Kiyomasa and had the knife used against him.
And then Kiyomasa would have had the knife back, and he would have gotten more hurt. Like I think I strongly disagree that keeping the knife would have been a terrible idea.
My
he threw it
initial
away, so
thought
neither
was
of them
what you were
could have
saying,
it.
Ark, but she's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, if we're being sensible, but the whole point is we're past the point of being sensible.
Maybe. They
sequence.
have to follow some logical threads here.
Besides,
this one makes sense to me.
He gets to play the best CM Punk I've ever seen.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, he launches himself at Kiyomasa. There's very ill-timed flashback where the boys are talking before the incident where they end up getting their asses kicked at the beginning of the series. And we're back to Takamichi, who still doesn't really have any combat experience and is struggling to land a hit. But he keeps rushing him and results to biting, which is a good tactic, by the way, while he's getting punched. Yes, you use every weapon you have, and biting is a good weapon.
Yeah, well, he didn't go for the soft organs. He didn't go for the eyes.
He's in there. He's learning. Let me finish. So he actually manages to gain some speed and is moving fast enough to come around behind him, launches himself up for a headlock and engages him in a rear naked choke, which he does correctly, I might add. This was a correct rear naked choke. I was super proud of him. It was very impressive. And if you are small and fast enough, that would have been the way to do it. He holds the choke and eventually knocks him unconscious. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I would have kicked him.
The other honorless goons just stand around and watch for dramatic effect. It's like, come on.
Yeah, he really looked out that they didn't intervene.
Yeah, they should have punched him off of the guy and then given him shit for it.
They didn't care about him. They even said, "Oh, I guess he lost."
They didn't care about
kill him too.
Kiyomasa.
They didn't care about Kiyomasa at all.
They just wanted to
They're
see
more
what
than happy to let
happened.
him lose.
Anyway, he's exhausted and happy that he's finally gotten his revenge. Takamichi then realized that he is still, in fact, outnumbered by the rest of the gang. So he tells Hinata to take Emma and run, which they wisely do. At this point, Draken stands up, who inexplicably is still conscious and alive. And they're like, we're going to join the fight, even though Takamichi can't feel his arm. And he's also like going to fall over any minute. But they're like both standing there, brave and stupid, ready to take on the rest of his gang members when Takamichi's friends arrive to fight. They call themselves the Ferocious Five. It's pretty adorable. And it's even funnier because, like, you think that they're going to have that same determination that led Takamichi to actually have his victory. No, they're getting their asses handed to them. Basically. It's really sad.
Well, I mean, because you're not. So short of, you're not really beaten until either you acknowledge that you're beaten or you are physically destroyed.
Sure.
So
or dead.
This is a real message for life. It's like you're not. Well, that's what I mean by destroyed. You're not beaten until you're either dead or you give up. And there's so many instances in real history I could think of where people have basically won without winning just by never acknowledging that they are beaten.
Their tactic does work because they hold off the gang long enough from killing them all until the ambulance arrives, which at this point the episode ends. But yeah, oh my goodness, that was a lot. That was a lot. I just want to take a moment.
The raw emotion of this episode.
Yes. I just want to take a moment to talk about how awesome that naked choke was. I was just so proud of him. Because, like, you see people do it in live action and they don't do it correctly. To do it, you have to have your arm in front of the neck, and then you fold your other, where the crux of your elbow is, over the hard part of your arm, so you're using the pressure of your shoulders to pull back and engage in the choke. Does that make sense? And he was doing, they animated that exactly the way he should have done it. It was a quick scene, but like I rewound it 4 times to make sure, and I showed it to my partner who's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and we were analyzing it. I was like, I'm so glad they did this right. And I'm really proud of Takamichi too for like doing something within what he knew his abilities were, because he clearly wasn't a brawler. He doesn't have that capability, but he's like, I'm going to put all my strength into this one thing, and it worked.
He's got a ridiculous endurance. This is something that he's totally able to do. And I think, now I have a question for Ark and Steven. Was I the only one doing the hands together and doing the CM Punk go to sleep emote thing while he was doing that?
Yes, because it didn't occur to me.
Okay.
No, I did it too.
Okay, I'm not alone! Yeah. But I recognized it because, there's CM Punk, a wrestler, who totally, that's one of his signature things. And I recognized it as soon as it started. I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing, Takamichi.
Yeah, let's start with Steven then. How'd you feel about this very emotional, intense, and dicey moment here with our little crew?
How is Draken still alive? That guy needs that guy. He's like I tweeted out. He's
by the
dead.
sheer power of his badassness and no other reason.
Pretty much,
yeah. It's a complete fuck logic situation.
No, it is. He just
power
by the
pool
amount of
compels
blood,
him.
the amount of blood that pooled out of him, like That's why I was so in despair in the previous episode. I'm like, oh, this dude's dead. That's a huge
that's a
pool
fatal
of blood
shot.
from a nasty stab in the stomach. He's dead. And I'm like, oh God, we're screwed now. That he's alive.
The only way it could be worse is if his carotid artery or his femoral artery was cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say this. I'm assuming he gets out of this okay. Draken is gonna be super tight with Takamichi after this. Like they're blood brothers now. They are. They're linked for life after this.
Absolutely.
Takamichi is Tomon to the core at this point. He is like super instrumental into how this gang survives this at all. Period. Draken for sure, but not just him. Everyone.
Yeah.
I could see him being something important from now on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What else was I gonna say? Oh, like Draken got stabbed with that knife, which was I don't know. It was a knife, right? He got stabbed. That thing was sharp enough, yeah. That it went through Takamichi's hand, which he's gonna have a problem with that hand for a little bit.
Hopefully, it didn't sever any nerves.
Yeah, you don't bring a hand to a knife fight, which he did.
You might say it wasn't very handy.
Yeah.
Well put, Steven.
But with that, the guy, it was like 2 episodes ago when the guy, basically, I would say it was a bit of a foreshadow where he stabbed the Mobius dude in the stomach with the bottle. The one who went to prison for like a year, him.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's dead, isn't he?
No.
How is Draken not dead? That was a bottle.
No, he didn't die.
He didn't die? Oh, yeah, okay.
He was arrested.
Interesting. Okay.
No, we're living in a hyper reality in this show where, you could shrug off being stabbed like that and beat down. Like, as long as it's consistent with that, I can roll with this action.
Yeah.
But it does have to be consistent from now on.
Then one last thing from me, when Takamichi's friends coming up, it's like the Avengers Assemble moment, and then it just switches to like everything. It switches to them. They're talking to Takamichi like, you can't do anything. Everyone just beating them up in the corner. You just see like this animation of them. That is the funniest bit that I have ever laughed at in this show. Of every one of them just getting beat up, and it's like, yeah, we're cool, man. It's like, I don't know about that. You have no skills whatsoever. But I mean, good effort on you to try to do something.
Yeah, trying to.
They showed they could take a punch. That's a start.
Yeah.
That is one of the strengths of the show. Is the emotional resonance here of do what you can, and then that's what Takamichi does. That's what they're doing. That's what made me cry like a baby the entire episode. Watching these guys who know that they're screwed, but they're doing what they can anyway. I don't know how that can't resonate with.
Yeah, well, that's a thing throughout history. Like I was saying, you see this it's at the foundation of the myths behind the real world effectiveness of, let's see, the Texas Rangers, the United States Marines, many other people. Right. Well, the 20th Maine, yeah. I refer to it after an expression from Mr. Tex, the Black Pants Legion. It's the power of fucking crazy. It's just, because either you win just by outlasting, or you die standing and screaming.
And you end up achieving something through whatever it is, like a delay in this case, which can be very critical. I just, one thing that I gotta say, it is really interesting because a lot of stuff we watch, which tends to be heavily shonen, show our heroes gaining their strength and having a victory. Victory is very rare for this little crew. They don't get the upper hand. They don't get to punch people out. They don't get to knock out their bullies. Other people do that, and they mostly get beat up. Like, just Takamichi having this one moment alone is huge, which is why he reacts the way he reacts. So it's kind of interesting from the sake of a narrative standpoint that they're not giving these kids this magical moment of victory. They're making it real. Like, no, they don't have any of the skills to do this, and they don't magically gain them through determination. But they're here, and they're making a difference, which is ultimately what the goal is.
Well, and I think that matters more because you could do this. I could do this. Any of us could do this. Getting super strong at the moment you exactly need it, no one's gonna do that.
No, I would have run my ass to the cops and.
I mean, that's kind of what I would have done too. But like, in terms of being able to, if you had to stand up in the way of danger, that's something. If you've got the courage for it, anyone could do.
It takes chutzpah. It takes quite a bit of that. Sketch, did you have any thoughts about this episode?
Just starting things off with Takamichi, he's got his resolve. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get my revenge. Here I come at. Oh, I was not expecting that. Oh, that hurts so much.
Yeah.
And me as a viewer, I'm like, ooh, well, there goes his gusto. But nope. He fought through it. He got scrapped. I honestly did I blink and I missed the part where he managed to go from biting the guy to crawling up on top of him? It was like, wait, how did he get there?
He kind of shuffles him off of him. Like, that's why he's on his side at the end. He's laying on his side. He's like, he kind of shuffles him off of him.
Yeah. Draken is clearly superhuman. There's no way that dude didn't lose so much blood. But also, how I say again, how does Takamichi not have like blood all over his clothes from carrying him the way he did? That's
an animation problem. They should have included that in the animation.
Yeah. And I mean, the rain would have washed some of it out, but his shirt would still be stained forever, the back of his shirt.
It would be pink. Everybody would be pink at this point.
Yeah.
They're all covered with washed out blood.
I'm a little disappointed that his friends didn't put up at least a little more of a fight. But it is pretty funny to be like, cue the Avengers music, and then oh gosh, they're getting their asses beat like really bad. Oh, this did not go well at all. This is just long enough that just long enough to get the ambulances there. I like how these delinquents are so stupid not to realize it was just ambulances and not actually the cops.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
It was probably really satisfying to see Kiyomasa get his too.
Oh, absolutely. That guy deserved to be choked out.
Yeah.
For real.
And you know what's interesting about that? Once you get someone in that position, there's very little you can do to get out of a chokehold like this. Because the way he's standing in the middle of he didn't really have any place to knock against to get leverage to get him down. And if he had dropped to the ground, like they were too far. He would have needed to go against the walls of the alley in order to even get any kind of leverage. And if he had gone down to the ground, it would have given Takamichi more control over the situation.
Then he would have had a foothold.
I think his only chance would have been to turn in exactly the right degree and then ram backwards against the wall of the alley. And that would have required him realizing where he was and exactly what was going on and stuff, which when the blood's being choked off of your brain, you don't have long.
There's some counters, but like I've seen UFC, even experienced UFC fighters, like they have training to know how to do that. There was just not really much Kiyomasa could do. The moment he got that leverage that he started cutting off blood flow, the dude was fucked, and it was great. And I loved it.
Oh yes, that was.
I would have kicked him in the face afterwards because I'm just that petty. But I guess that wasn't the point. Takamichi's not petty like me.
I was gonna say it's good. It's a good thing the knife went into that person's yard because otherwise, I mean, I would have solved the problem. And then you've got a whole nother layer of drama, which I don't think this show is going for.
Takamichi's hand has a whole another layer of drama.
Oh god, it's right in the right place to cause nerve damage.
I see what you were going for there.
I got a little tripped up there, but yeah.
No, but I got it. I was with you.
Yeah.
I was with you. Yes.
Just
What else?
it's so painful, so painful. Yeah, this really shows Takemichi realizing, okay, I don't know how to traditionally fight, but that doesn't mean I can just do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely the strength of this episode is just, do what you can.
He should maybe get some training in anything, literally anything.
Definitely. But
well, I'm
he was
expecting
not prepared.
Mikey. I'm expecting Mikey to start teaching him, and it's going to be very funny and painful.
Oh,
I
it's
actually
interesting
would
that
love to see
Mikey
that.
actually found an opponent that can stop his kicks. Like, that's kind of scary.
Well, yeah,
That was
that's how we know it's the bad guy.
Yeah.
excellent
I
kick
think-
defense. Excellent
I
kick
think
defense. I
that's
was just so impressed.
Mikey is the big fish in the small pool, and the larger pool is saying hello. That's my read on that.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it was good. It was good for Mikey. He was challenged and he was fighting, and he was doing well in his fight with Hanma, even though Hanma was meeting him at his level. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's good for him to be confronted with a tough opponent because it forces him to up his own skill level. Because if he's going to lead this gang, he's got to be tough. He's got to be able to handle people who will be that strong. Will be able to take him on. And he's a lot smarter too, like than I thought initially. I have to admit I was impressed that he put it all together about the manipulation because I didn't think Mikey was that clever, admittedly. I guess I was wrong, and I'm glad I was
I think
wrong.
Mikey is just laid back, but not dumb.
Mhm.
Which is good, because we already got one dum-dum. We don't need two.
Yeah. And even though before I was kind of like, why is Drake coming to bring a melon and be like, well, I'm the best bud of Takemichi. Well, now I'm gonna now I'm gonna believe it. Now it's legit.
Yeah.
And
I
there's
kinda bought it up to
clearly
that point.
somebody pulling strings, and I'm really wondering how that's all gonna reveal itself over time.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Hanma would not have had a reason to understand the internal turmoil within Tomon. It's not like Pe would have had that. There was a point of manipulation in between that, and there's someone feeding him intelligence. So there's another unknown here
Well,
in
yeah,
this
because
mix.
future Kiyomasa straight up said that, it was all that man's doing. And,
Yeah.
we can make some inferences based on what we know about the gangs of the future. But, yeah, there's
Yes.
definitely more going on.
And I do also like that, we see his friend, the redhead, whose name eludes me at this moment. He gets to see him in this moment of well, strength and courage when the last thing he saw him do prior to that was kill himself. So it's probably a good moment too for Takemichi to like see his friend have some of his spirit and fight for him,
They
Mhm.
do a little bit of
Man,
a
this
visual
show's
to
dark.
key into that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This show's so dark, man.
It's dark, but it's also incredibly emotional, and oh god, it hits me in all those spots.
Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to add about either of these episodes before we move on?
I'd feel silly if I didn't be pithy and quote Emiliano Zapata. It's better to die on your feet than live on your knees.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Amen.
I think that applies. And honestly, as much as I don't like all of the gang violence, and obviously we were warned this was going to be a possibility. It is making for a compelling story. I've never before cared so much about the inner workings of a gang. I feel like the stakes are really high, and I'm very invested in things working out for everybody. So Gotta credit the show for making me care. Speaking of shows that are making me care, Sketch.
Yeah, time to talk about a pretty good episode of Blue Lock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we finally got there. We got there. We started there last week for me, and now I actually gave a shit about this. I did give a
I'm
shit
starting
about
to
this
know
show.
their names a little bit.
Yeah. Let's talk about Blue Lock.
Yes. So in the last episode of Blue Lock, Team Z kind of got their stuff together when Bachira suddenly pulls off some slick maneuvers, to which I say, where was this, Bachira? Where has this been for several episodes, several games? Where has this been?
Oh,
But it's about
where
time.
has my Bachira been?
And then you get multiple successive goals, and things are looking good. Things are turning around, but this is still the best team in this block, so it ain't gonna be easy. And here's the thing about Team Z suddenly catching their stride, evolving, awakening. Well, Team V can do that too. And they do. Once Nagi suddenly finds soccer to be interesting. His curiosity starts forcing him to make plays on his own and not just rely on whatever Rio tells him to do. And then he becomes a real monster and immediately scores another goal, so the game's no longer tied, which is pretty bad. But even though Team Z kind of starts losing their composure, it's actually the shouty guy that really gets the fire
Raichi.
under them. Yeah, Raichi actually says, like, look, I've been playing defense this whole time, and I hate playing defense. You better not make all of my efforts worth nothing. Get yourself together. And they pull off a pretty wild kind of will they won't they moment where Chigiri makes another long pass to himself, but it gets blocked, and then it's Gagamaru that takes the second shot, and that's blocked. But this whole time, we were just leading up to getting into Kunigami's strike zone, and boom, scores 4-4 again. Pretty
that
nice,
whole
guys.
sequence. Oh my gosh, that whole sequence.
Pretty nice.
That's how you even care about soccer. Crazy plays like that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, it's so frustrating. The first shot misses because of the goalie, and the second shot also misses. You're like, oh no. But Isugi's like, oh, but now it's in Kunigami's strike zone. All right, good team effort, guys. Good tenacity to keep going at it. And I mean, why wouldn't they? This is their last shot if they don't succeed here. And now the show tries to make us care about Kuon.
Yeah, I kind of glazed over that. This is one of the benefits of watching at 1.5 speed. You can skip through that shit.
We get a little bit of his backstory, see that he was always overbearing and alienated his teammates on his original team. And we're like, man, none of us really thought about going to nationals. We were just humoring you. And I think this is what changed his approach once he got into Blue Lock, because early on he seemed like such a supportive guy, right? He seemed like the team mom, which is totally different than the way he was playing before. So that shows he learned something. But then we kind of figure out it's all just a facade. just a facade because he's a dirty, stinky little traitor. But then he does something that I mean, of course he does this. This is a shonen story. He does what goes against what would be best for him, and what would be best for him is doing nothing at all, because even though he and Kunigami currently have the same amount of goals, because he's higher ranked and he doesn't have any negative points, he's going to move on. But something in him decides that he wants these guys to continue. And maybe he thinks, if I do this, they might not hate me forever.
I call bullshit on that.
It's a bold strategy. Strategy.
I think it would have been more interesting if it, you really did, see it through, and then they won, but he's still on their team technically, and they have to deal with him.
Well, we're gonna see how that goes, because they're gonna win.
Oh yeah,
of course they are. Otherwise, what's the point of the show?
We know they're gonna win. They're not flunking out this.
Although, wouldn't that be amazing? Switching protagonists part way through because the team gets locked off.
Oh yeah, suddenly it's Nagi's show.
Would be.
Well, Nagi's got a movie.
That actually ties into later. Remind me. I'll say how I've started to enjoy this in a weird way. More than I did before.
Imagine if they all vlog out, but then Kuhan continues, and now he's the main character.
That would be amazing. That's kind of because
I actually like Kuhan quite a bit.
Yeah, he would. That would really work, because here's the thing. This whole show, I figured out why it's so interesting. It's because it is like the anti-sports anime. It is a deliberate, I think, deconstruction of the traditional sports anime, and it's doing it not just like to lampshade everything, although there is some of that. It's also just, let's look at this from a different angle and explore the darker side of the personalities and the motivations and stuff that go into sports.
Yeah. So this dark personality has decided to roll the dice, so to speak. And as Nagi breaks away for an easy goal, Kuon tackles him and gets a red card, ensuring he's not moving on unless the team does. And that also gives the other team a free kick outside the penalty box. And Isugi's like, no, it was the goalie. Darn, his Iman is kind of thinking, okay, is he gonna pass to the fast guy, or is he gonna pass to Nagi? Oh wait, of course he's gonna take the shot himself because he has an ego too. Which was not the best play. But we have kind of the reversal of the previous time where the ball doesn't go in, but it keeps getting knocked around. So things are pretty intense. But
what's gonna happen next?
But ultimately, Gagamaru manages to kick the ball out of the goal. Like, man, Gagamaru, good save.
He's like the Matrix.
He kind of is
the Matrix.
He kicks the ball out, and that gets it over to Isugi. And Isugi's like, all right, it's my time. Is it your time? In this episode, Isugi does have moments where he's like, with my spatial awareness, I understand where to go, where the weakest spot on the field is, and he uses that effectively. But when he says, this is how I'll score my goals, I was like, this is more like how you're going to assist in scoring goals.
Also, yes. But
Also,
keep in mind,
yes.
I mean, he is the striker, so... But yeah, I think he's on his way, possibly he's on his way to developing into a magnificent bastard, which I would love. I love those kind of characters.
Certainly possible. I mean, he gets kind of nasty on the field sometimes.
Right, I enjoy that.
It's like, oh, you didn't think I was going to be here? And the back and forth between Zentetsu and Chiguri. The insults. Silly. Fun, enjoyable. Speaking of fun and enjoyable, the extra time this time is a continuation of them doing impressions, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was.
I did enjoy that. That extra time
was
has
amused.
consistently been fun.
And Kunigami putting in eye drops to go teary-eyed.
Great puppy dog eyes, I must say.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Ark, as our guest, what are your thoughts on this episode of Blue Lock?
Nothing beyond what I already said. Hopes for the future, and the fact that I realize this really is a deliberate deconstruction. But it's done very well. I imagine it would be much more interesting if you were really into sports anime and had a lot of things to contrast against. Because I get the feeling they're deliberately playing with and subverting genre tropes that I'm not aware of. It's just a feeling. If there's anyone in the audience who's really into sports anime, let us know. I'm full of shit. But that's me.
Laser, what do you think of what's been going on in Blue Lock?
Well, they finally got my attention. That the actual match was really fun to watch. B, the whole thing with, Kuon being, having his heart grow 5 sizes larger that day. I'm not sure how to feel about him. I just said a minute ago that he might not be. I said he was my. I kind of like him a little bit. I misspoke. I was thinking of Kunigami, who I do like, but Kuon is interesting. I like wondering what exactly is making this man tick. Interested to see where that storyline goes with him for sure. But we're seeing Team Z come together. I also really liked the realization that Isagi had about his weapon, which I'm never going to not make fun of that terminology. But him going, oh, I can use predictions based on this. Okay. Why didn't you think of this?
Future.
I just see the soccer future.
What series was I watching? Log Horizon, where the guy can see 30 seconds into the future. That's what I was thinking of, where he's like he can see 10 seconds or 30 seconds into the future. He pulled a Log Horizon. That's a special power.
It's interesting to see where that's gonna go. I kind of go, yeah. You're just now realizing you can put things together, huh? But it's Isagi. He's not our smartest.
Put the pieces together.
I see what you did there.
Well, Mr. AJ Tibbs in the chat says the puzzle pieces have arrived. In my opinion, more puzzle pieces in an episode, the more I enjoyed that episode. It's a fun visual, flair.
Analogy.
Yeah.
It just kind of makes me think of Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Finally, we're doing something interesting, Blue Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
I concur.
Yes. Definitely have that same feel.
Even Nagi's sudden, change of heart is way more interesting than how he was before. It's like, oh, okay. I think I can understand why this character got his own movie. Which I may, in fact, watch one of these days. But
what?
Rio's Nagi has a spin-off movie.
Seriously?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It ran in theaters in the US even.
Okay. All right.
Which goes to show this series is pretty popular.
Yeah.
Rio, on the other hand, I'm getting real annoyed at Rio. Like, oh, I will show them that I don't want things handed to me. Like, whatever. You're not that interesting. Stop trying to be a main character.
They can't. That's what they all want. This is a show full of main character energy. But
yes,
all of them.
yes. It's also ultimate asshole warrior.
Yes.
As I said in the previous podcast. And it's gonna stick.
Yeah.
Kuro, what are your thoughts on this episode of Blue Lock?
I really enjoyed this episode. They caught my attention last episode with Bachira, who was my favorite. Him just like igniting and then, thinking, okay, great. Now I'm incentivized. Let's have some fun here and scoring a goal. I loved that. But this one, my favorite character this episode was absolutely Raichi. He's just so fucking funny. I love the scene where they're having a break after the goal where he yells at me. He's like, attack! And he grabs Isagi. It's like, me and this useless piece of crap will hold the midfield.
Yeah.
Like, then when they had the free kick, when what's his name was like wondering where Raichi came from, he's like, from your nightmares, asshole.
That was the best.
That was a great line. Not gonna argue that.
From your nightmares.
With just Raichi, he's just funny, like consistently throughout, and he's like a star. He was doing really well in the last episode and this episode. I just, because before he's like such a pest. He's like, I want to score, and now he's doing his part and he's angry at everyone else for not doing theirs. So I totally get it. He's the voice of the audience here, and it was very funny. It made me laugh. I loved how aggressive everybody was playing. I loved that they finally woke up and they're like, oh, we got to play to score. We're spending too much time like going around and playing around the other team instead of like just going for the goal. Like, holy shit, yeah, now you get it. Great. Let's see it happen. And it's happening now. So it was good to see things move and to see them not being stupid. And like, I just loved the animated characterization here. As far as Kuon goes, like, it's funny because I kind of had a feeling he would have to have some kind of moment here where he would either, begin his redemption arc or I don't know. And I think the only way he could have possibly begun to fix things with his team would have been to do what he did, which was to eliminate his chances of moving on without him, because it's a small step, but it's showing them that he is entrusting. He trusts their playing ability to move on. A better move would have been actually playing with them and contributing, to the team better. But of course, we're not quite there yet. This is going to be a process for them. So yeah, it was fine. Glad to see that. I guess I still wasn't particular. It felt like it was taking away from all the fun of the game for me, where we had to sit through that home like backstory. But I understand why they needed it, because they're trying to give some perspective on Kuon. They're trying to make us care a little bit about him. It didn't work, but I get what they were trying to do. I just wanted to see Raichi yell at everybody some more. So, so yeah. So I have a feeling exactly how this is going to go now that Isagi has a way of, playing out the field how he thinks things are going to work out. He'll score the final goal for the team, because obviously they have to have him have a win, since this is primarily through his perspective. But it was good to finally care about them, not because like they're winning, but because they're not being useless and they're animated and things are happening. Like, that's, now I feel engaged. It's not boring.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it stays this way. I hope it continues to go in this direction. But the last two episodes were a solid uptick from the rest of it, where I had just lost so much interest in this show. I gotta say that when I watched it on replay watching it at 1.5 speed, especially hearing Raichi yell, it just makes it 10 times funnier. It makes it so much funnier. I highly recommend if you have to rewatch for these recaps, man. It's pretty fun. Yeah, it was, and surprisingly, this was the episode of the night that was the most memorable for me. For Toonami, like that's the one that I ended up liking the most. That had the most positive reaction to, I should say, out of everything. So it's just that just goes to show Woolock it has gained a little. Now I'm not sure it will keep it that way. I'm not very confident it's gonna always be this way, but it's had its moment. After me being negative and naysaying this series for the past 8 episodes, I have something nice to say. It all happened, everybody.
It finally happened.
It did. So far, this is my favorite episode. And Raichi was my favorite character.
The thing about Kuon's decision here, I think if he just tried to play normally, they would not pass the ball to him because they'd be concerned that he would sabotage them. So
Absolutely.
I think he had
this was the only way.
He had to make a big gesture, even one that would make it so he's out. Because if he had made enough of a gesture that they can continue playing, but he's still going to win if they lose, then they would still have no reason to potentially trust him in the future.
Yeah, it's a gesture to show the team that he believes in them, because he has no way of saying that in a way that they'll be convinced. They won't believe him no matter what. So this was technically the only way, you're right, that he could do that. And even in the moment, like, his team was very confused and they didn't know what was happening because they were getting yelled at by the other team. Like, what are you guys trying to pull here? Like, we don't know. We didn't plan this.
we didn't plan this. None of us understand what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. The nice failed free kick from your nightmares, asshole.
Anything goes in Blue Lock. Steven, what are your thoughts on this episode of Blue Lock?
Did we really need a backstory for Kuon? I mean,
I guess kinda. At least it was short.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew he was kind of like a jerk and pretentious and all that stuff, but I mean, everyone else was there.
Yeah, it did kind of break like the flow of the episode, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but I guess it was necessary.
I guess there was some storytelling and redemption at the end.
You can't pull a switcheroo like that without some sort of justification.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if he had done that, if he had made that decision first and done it, and then later in the aftermath we learn about his motivations, that could work.
Yeah.
It would have been more of a surprise even.
I also like him getting a red card. That's fun. It's like, yeah, you know what, you deserve to be out of the game for everything you did. But you know what? It is a kind of mini redemption, if you could call it that, because he did it for the team and technically himself, because they all want to be that star in Eagle's eyes and all that stuff. But man,
I mean, on the other hand, let's say he did move on.
Yeah.
No other team is going to accept him.
No. Oh, no.
What we were just saying about traders earlier, nobody trusts them.
Yeah, Team V called him a traitor.
Yeah. I mean, seeing him, and man, he just decked that guy right down. And it's like, okay, you know what? You deserve to be in a Tokyo Revengers with that type of move. But everything else,
that was a spear attack, like wrestling style.
Yeah, he was going for it, man. And it's like, you know what? I'm proud of him for going for that and doing that. It brought a little more excitement into the show. And then him sitting in the hallway, not watching the game, not watching it, but knowing that they're going to either tie it up or whatever and give it their best shot, because he does see the cohesiveness of that team getting together, and he was the weakest link throughout it. I do want to see what happens in the next episode to see if they kind of allow him to come back in to that thing. I don't think so, but I think that his sacrifice was
I'm sure it's their
needed.
call to make.
Yeah. I think it was his sacrifice that needed to be made to make that team a little more, make that team an actual team, right? They needed that element of someone taking that away and then giving it back to them. And I think that was worth it. Was it redemption quality? Not in my eyes, but I mean, hey, if he comes back on the team, he's going to have a lot of work to do to get back into graces. Other than that, you're going back to just street soccer and never hoping to get on any type of team ever again. Which I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, they spent all that money on making everything blue and calling everything Blue Lock and everything else. And you're going to say, okay, you know what? You signed this contract. That's it. You're never going to play in any soccer team again. That's it. All your hopes and dreams are done. I mean, there's some underground soccer matches that have to go on. And
I thought
and
that
they'll
was
bring them
only
on.
that they couldn't play for the nationals.
Yeah, they couldn't
That's
play for
my
the
understanding.
national
I
team.
don't think they can never play the sport again. They just have no chance of playing professionally, like pro. Not.
You know
like,
what?
they could-
I want to see. I want to see like I know the show is like still going on, and maybe like
They actually can play in another country.
Yeah,
Oh,
they could play
okay.
another country. They could even, if they were determined, play for the Olympics. They could play regionals. They could still play the sport, and there's a lot of options within the sport they could still play. They just wouldn't be able to play for
Right.
the national team.
Hmm.
I want to see a kind of like a epilogue episode with Kuan if he leaves, of him growing up just having a 9 to 5 job and just like walking down the street seeing all these kids having fun and playing soccer, and he sits there and they go, "What's wrong, old man?" And he goes, "I used to play one time," and then he just recounts all of his stories, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And then they just keep going, "Hey, let's play. The guy's weird," and that's it.
Yep. That
Or
would
the
be
kids are
great.
even like, "Wow, you were an asshole."
Yeah. From the mouth of babes.
You know who else had a really good moment this episode? Amon. He finally got to be a star. We saw him
Hmm.
block a beautiful shot. That was excellent. That was a beautiful block too. Like, good for him. I liked that he had his hero moment. I feel like he deserved to have that moment, and I hope he has more.
Those three guys, the two other guys jumping in there to block the goal with him, and it still was gonna go in, but then Gagamaru with the save, like,
Oh
all
my
right, that was
gosh.
pretty rad.
Yeah. Yeah, Gagamaru, the living Matrix boy. He like kicked from behind. He's doing all the crazy shit.
Nagi pushed the ball off of his back. That was wild.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm curious about how far that would have actually been able to go. Though I've seen a guy get knocked out like in a fight from a shoulder hit. So
Hmm.
like Conor McGregor knocked a dude out. He used his shoulder and hit a guy in the face 3 times. It was
Ooh.
pretty amazing. Like within like 2 minutes of the fight too. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe you have, if you're a muscle magnet. You know, I gotta say though, when I was watching this, and then obviously dawned on, I kept thinking like, there's a lot of ball action happening here between that and then
Hmm.
Gigi and his newfound abilities. It's like, Gigi, maybe you should just come here like, cross over to this show.
Play Blue
You
Lock.
might be the ultimate striker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Evil Eye Gigi would be the ultimate striker. definitely
Yeah.
possible.
Fun
That's a
episode,
pretty cool
enjoyable.
combination.
I'm glad we finally had something like this.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Only
It's
took
finally got some.
9 episodes, 8 episodes and a half.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some chickens.
Yeah, baby.
In this episode of Rooster Fighter, we're following up on that little bit at the end of the previous episode where a guy filmed the chickens fighting the purse demon, and that video has now gone viral, and people know about KG, Elizabeth, and Pyoko, and I'm just amused by the line like, it looks like CGI. Well, yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yes, it is.
It is CGI.
You're correct.
You're correct. But like, all the kids are really excited about it, and some delinquents are like, wow, if we get these chickens, it's gonna be a big deal. Like, we'll get rich. And it's like, okay, you saw those chickens fight a demon monster, and you think you're gonna be able to catch them
With a net?
with a net?
With
Do
a
you know how
bunch
hard
of
it is
nets.
to catch a chicken? It's not easy. I speak
No,
from
it's not.
experience. It's not easy.
I bet you do. It would be very, very difficult. But nonetheless, they're getting chased all over town, and that's not so great. And the guy who made the first video, he's like sitting in a cafe and like, yes, I'm gonna get those chickens. It's like, yeah, whatever, buddy. They're like running outside of the diner right now, and you're not even noticing. But so they decide to hide under a bridge for a bit, and Elizabeth's like, well, we should probably go into hiding for a bit because the humans will keep chasing us. And KG's like, what? You can't keep me cooped up. I can't believe that wasn't a line. But he's like, I was not made to hide humans. And Elizabeth tries to reason with him. He's like, no, I'm out of here. And Pyoko's like, well, mister, I was supposed to go with you. No, mister, no, you're gone. So the motley flock has split up, as the episode title implied. And KG decides to strut around town, and he finds a little gambling place with slot machines. And he's like, wow, well, could take a load off in here at least. And he goes into the gambling place with the slot machines, and he's like, oh, it's so noisy in here. How can humans even enjoy this? And he sees a demon playing the slots. And it's like, wait a minute, that's a demon. You're a demon, right? Well, actually, he doesn't realize it first. First, the demon telepathically talks to him and says, hey, you want to try the game? He's like, you're talking to me. So you're a demon, but I don't notice any harmful intent. Like, no, man, I'm not that kind of demon. But hey, come over here and play the game. So he shows him how to play the slots, and Keiji's actually really good at it because he has very keen eyes. So he starts winning big, and then a guy comes over and is like, I'm sorry, sir, no pets allowed. So they get kicked out, but they take the money. And this demon, who introduced himself as Mario, he says, I feel kind of bad because I got this money from a single coin that I just found, and I don't know, I should probably give it back or something. KG's like, no, wait, no. That was like a gift from God, and you don't want to like return a gift from God. That's very disrespectful. Also, since you happen to have some money, could I get a little something? So they go to a supermarket. He gets him some sea urchin, which is what Cage is really excited about. And he buys it. Okay, I can't be the only one to notice. It said 90% off. Yeah, no. You don't buy seafood that's 90% off.
Yeah.
So I think part of the problem is that it was not properly prepared, but also, yeah, it might just be spoiled. But Keiji rips the thing open. He's so grateful. He's so excited. He's like, yes, finally I can taste sea urchin again. He takes a bite. He's like, oh. You see it on his face. His eyes go crazy and he starts throwing up because it's so bad. Like, yeah, it was 90% off. It's probably spoiled. He does consider if it might have been spoiled. But I think the problem is you just need to go get properly prepared sea urchin at a restaurant like you saw the family eating in that previous episode. But he passes out from throwing up and disappointment, and he wakes up on a hill where Morio has made his little camp, and they get to talking, and they share some booze. And we find out that Morio was birthed out of a guy being desperate to live after finding out that 47 years of an uneventful life will be ending because he's got cancer. And his anguish causes a demon to be born and is like, fear not, I have been born to live life on both our behalves. It's like, wait a minute, dude, how does that actually help me? Wait, hang on, I'm getting a call. Gets a call from the doctor who is gonna have to give some very bad news to another patient, I guess. Who says, yeah, I mixed up your charts. You're fine. You're not gonna die. So the guy's like, yes, I'm alive. I'm gonna go get a girlfriend. Bye. And the demon's like, wait, what? What am I supposed to do? What? Okay. So Mario, being a demon, is not very liked by the townspeople, and they attack him and they bully him, and they're not nice. Even though he could easily overpower them, he does not. And over time, he's gotten smaller and smaller, apparently. So at this point, he looks almost like a human in this universe. Almost like a human. Kind of like he looks a lot like the guy who birthed him, so I guess is that angle. But yeah, after getting that backstory, he's like, I don't know, I feel like I don't have any. No, all living beings have a purpose. And I was like, wait a minute, Keiji, you want to kill the demons, and you think, oh, what purpose do these evil demons serve? I'm just saying, that's kind of a questionable logic you got going there. But they have a grand old time, and Keiji goes on his way, as Keiji does. Morio says he had the best day of his life, and that's good. Good, happy vibes. And Keiji momentarily thinks, I wonder if Elizabeth and Pyoko are okay. It seems like a bad storm's coming in. Not my problem. Come on, Keiji. Come on. But real bad storm. Rain pouring down. Elizabeth and Pyoko are out on the streets, kind of squawking at each other over Keiji leaving and how Elizabeth drove him away. Pyoko being like, why do you follow him around if you hate him so much? And Elizabeth being like, do I still care for him? It's like, girl, if you still care for him, you did him so dirty in the previous episodes. But it was still kind of deserved.
He deserved that.
He was one horny bird.
Yeah.
And they meet a little girl, Mizuzu, who takes them home with her to get them out of the rain. And she lives with her grandfather, who's not very healthy, seems to be bedridden. And Elizabeth does the thing where she talks with the smartphone, and is like, oh, shouldn't you, not live here? You're awfully close to where it could flood. And the old man's like, no, I've been living, never flooded. And I'm just thinking, doesn't that mean it's due?
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, later that night, they get a knock on the door, And a concerned citizen is like, "Hey, didn't you hear the warnings? You got to get out of here. Things are flooding." And first I'm thinking, "Oh no, how are they going to carry Grandpa?" But thankfully, they do have a wheelchair. So they get him out on the wheelchair and they're pushing him in the rain. Everybody's dressed for rain. Well, the humans are dressed for rain attire, and they're pushing him over to the shelter. But they get to the ramp and the wheels are not turning and the water's coming fast and it's really scary and intense for a moment. And then Pyoko powers up and helps push it up far enough that they can get it up the ramp. Another one of those moments of desperation unlocking their potential thing that this show keeps doing. And Elizabeth is pretty astonished by Pyoko's ability here. And of course, the humans are very, very grateful to say they couldn't possibly thank them enough. With Morio, he's noticing the storm is getting worse and worse, and he realizes that the dam of the town is gonna burst because it's too much for it to handle. And you think if it's flooded now, it's gonna get really bad. And here we get our first real cliffhanger of this show. Pretty intense.
I guess
Kuro.
the cat running off with the chick wasn't a real cliffhanger.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
These stakes are way higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do like that Pyoko acknowledges, "Hey, she saved me. Maybe she's not so bad."
It'd be nice if they got along, because it will be annoying if that becomes like a bit.
I think they will get along. Soon they're both going to be getting on KG's skin.
Yeah, that's what I see as well.
Like Mario, I am curious if he's going to be a repeat character or not. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really sure that from the episode, because like you don't see him in the. You don't really see him in the what do you call it? The intro, right? But he seems kind of important. I don't know. I just got the impression that he might be a repeat character, but maybe he doesn't come with them. I don't know. I'd like to know what Morio's role will be.
His casting choice at a
Yeah.
point. So I feel like he's gonna be a slightly more significant character than, say, most of the one-offs we've come across so far.
Yeah, like his introduction definitely indicates a significant character beyond like these 2 episodes, because this is a 2-parter, which will be cool. I find the more demon lore we get, the more fascinating all of this is, and even more funny to me that none of the hens seem to care. Well, I guess Elizabeth kind of does. She's smart enough to put all this stuff together. But it is really interesting. He just sort of manifests and then he detaches from his host, I guess. So he's kind of like, and you saw in the previous one with the greed monster that thing was sort of separate from the host too. I don't know. I'm kind of bending my mind around trying to understand how this is all working, outside of all the chicken drama. Also, like, Keiichi's kind of an asshole, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That works for him. That works for him. It's not a complaint, just an observation. He's kind of a jerk. He cares only about himself. That's fine. I think that, maybe that'll be part of his character arc. But he is a rooster, so it definitely tracks. Yeah. It was a good episode. And I think I like that they made it a 2-parter instead of another monster of the week. So they're definitely trying to build a little bit more plot. Because I have to say, I completely misjudged what I thought the series would be. It's a lot deeper than I realized it would be. So more
I thought it was going to be a
intriguing.
little sillier than it is. I mean, it is silly.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we're dealing with a rooster that fights demons, but there's more depth to it than even I gave credit for. So I totally agree with me.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I was like thinking this is straightforward. Rooster fights demons. You got to go with the flow, but they're really kind of building pathos here for the characters, and they're building up what makes these demons in general. It's not just a thing that occurs in this world. You get a little bit more each episode. That's planning. That's some thoughtful narration right there. So yeah, I'm intrigued and interested in the next episode, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah. Steven, what are your thoughts on this episode of Rooster Fighter?
It was a good episode. Liked the demon. So now there's a demon and a human out there, kind of living two separate lives, but kind of looking
Yeah.
the same, which is interesting tactic. I do like how the demon like found peace or found some type of inner peace with himself and what he had to do. And he became like this Japanese salaryman guy who just like goes to the pachinko, goes to the random casino and just tries to like make money and everything. I don't know how he survives, but he's doing pretty good. He lives on top of a hill and everything else. He has compassion, which other demons seem not to have, though we do see some in, I think, episode 2 that were like helping a firefighter or just continuously on doing the business. So he's the most normal of them all. So I do wonder if that's like special or interesting something with him. I thought he can sense like danger coming ahead, which is a kind of cool tactic. So I do wonder if he's going to be like a point of contact going forward, because he knows a little more about the demons, or he knows something about those.
Yeah, that's a solid theory as a point of contact. I like that.
Other than that, them trying to just like save that that grandchild and the grandpa, that was a cool move on them trying to do it. Elizabeth sort of had a little more strength than Pyoko, but there's something there with Pyoko that might be a future thing that might come on, that might see it soon, that little chick has some power that's beyond, kind of like a Gohan type thing, where it's like the power level just rise whenever they get to a certain point in their hatred or in their passion of what they're doing. Yeah, it was a great episode. It doesn't explain much, but sometimes it's a break that you need from those monsters of the week, that they do need to just sit there, relax, look at everything, look at where they are and where they progressed. Seeing Elizabeth always type on that phone is like, and then having the voice on there, that always cracks me up. Like, how did she pick that voice? How did she do all that? It's so cool that she can do that, and that's how she talks to people and everything. The trying to capture the chickens in the beginning, that was funny, but
It's upsetting. I was upset about that.
I do wonder if he's going to, because we had the opening again for the show, and I think it showed like 5 humans, kind of like in a tiered thing, that could be demons. That it's like they're how anime foreshadows things in the openings and all that stuff.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it shows some humans in there, so I do wonder if that guy who's videotaping them is going to continuously chase them, kind of like a police, or like something, continuously chase them to find out what
See
their
if they
secret
start
is.
calling them. See if they start calling them pops.
God.
That would be fun.
He's not
Other
old enough
than
for
that,
that.
a fantastic episode. Sometimes you need those quiet episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it actually did some really good world building, when Elizabeth was explaining how the demons have varied in recent times, she did mention that there are some kind demons that aren't hostile, and we actually get to see one now. We get to see like what kind of life they live. I think that's very good. Also, them going viral on the internet makes total sense. This is clearly a story that was written in modern times that's taking advantage of the fact it's written in modern times and using these things that we would understand and be like, yeah, that does totally make sense that somebody would be really enthralled by these chickens fighting and think, oh, this would definitely blow up on the internet if you but this guy who's trying to catch them and make more money with videos, yeah, he's bound to need rescuing at some point. And then hopefully he knocks it off.
Trying to make money off of cockfighting, that's a problem.
Yes.
And when you put it that way, I believe that is illegal.
Yes.
Yeah. Laser, what are your thoughts on this episode of Rooster Fighter and the show so far?
I mean, the show is just absolutely beautifully insane and fun, and I'm enjoying it for that. I'm loving the characters. I'm loving the action. But like Chris said, I'm enjoying the bigger depth. This episode struck me, same as you, on the world building. And the thing that struck me, yes, we're getting variants, but what really got my attention was in the beginning, there were just blue demons and red demons. Blue Oni and red Oni.
Classic.
Yeah.
This is making me wonder what's causing this. Because whatever is causing it is changing. Either because it is growing or something has forced change upon it. And I don't know which, and I'd like to know.
And if there's good demons and bad demons, like how does that come about? Is it because of the emotions that the people are having at the time? That would make the most sense, I guess.
That would make the most sense, and it also tracks with the one we know, because the good demon we've met was birthed from a strong desire to live. You can't really twist that to hurt people. You want to live, you don't want to hurt. A lot of the other ones, I mean, they're all birthed by strong emotions. That's just a matter of fact. We've seen it time and time again. I mean, that last one, the Zipper Demon, that was birthed by greed. These are a lot of these are nasty emotions that can get the better of us, and well, the demon does. But if it's a strong emotion that's positive, I could totally see why that would birth someone that's a demon that's not evil. And it's really interesting to see that in this case, like, he wanted to live so that they could so he could live on through him, and then when that's taken away from him, it makes him sad because he's lost his purpose. Which
to find a new purpose.
He's got to find a new purpose, but that just tells me, okay, these demons are driven by a purpose, the purpose that birthed them. That this is a lot of hinting going on, and I'm really interested to see how it all adds up in the end. Also, I absolutely loved our little power burst bird here.
Yeah. Pyoko.
Pyoko proving her worth. And yeah.
The one observation I made is, I mean, it's kind of a funny gag that he gets a call from, oh, actually, you're gonna live, you're fine. But it would have been so much more interesting to me if the desire to live birthed a demon that took the disease out.
That is what I thought was going.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And even if you look at Morio now, he's like, he kind of looks tumorous.
Yeah.
In ways.
Well, he's this big white guy. And I don't mean white as in Caucasian. I mean like literally pasty white.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a chubby vampire, but he also kind of looks like an embodiment of a tumor.
Yeah. No, I had the same thought you did.
So that kind of undercuts it a bit for it to not actually have anything to do with that, or does it? Who could
knows?
say? Who could say how
Yeah,
this works?
a tomb, a demon that came out of nothing, and then when it fizzled out, so did the desire to manifest the demon, I suppose. It
Mhm.
just kind of makes you wonder how this works. And now that you can see two examples of sort of, well, this one is more clear, the demon separating, but in this case, the human clearly lost whatever um motivation it had that would have bred the demon in the first place. I don't know, it's very intriguing. I have to give the writer credit for this creation. It's more unique than what you usually see of these sort of things. There's a lot, I think, that I still want to figure out, I still want to learn about. So I'm appreciative that it's intriguing enough to keep me interested beyond Monster of the Week fighting amusing Rooster and his team, you know? Cuz that's funny, objectively, that's hilarious. But there's a little bit more here to keep you on the hook. I like it.
Mm-hmm. And since I don't think I've ever mentioned it in all these recaps, the original author of Rooster Fighter is Shu Sakurutani. So props to them for coming up with such a wild concept, and also developing really solid lore through it. Good stuff. Good stuff. And yeah, it's a bummer of a cliffhanger. We probably figure that things are gonna work out, but still, I don't want to wait a week to find out. that's hard. That is hard. But we shall continue as the show is broadcast. Because what else can we do? We could read the source material, but even then. Yeah. Another fun and interesting episode of Rooster Fighter. Solid week of episodes. Solid week of episodes, including the Done, of course. But we will talk about that next time. If you have any thoughts on any of these shows or anything else going on with Toonami, you can email us at podcast@toonamifaithful.com. Follow us on facebook.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast and on Twitter @Toonami Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on just about everything, including Apple Podcast. I keep messing this up. Apple Podcast, Castbox, Deezer, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podbay, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Radio.com, Spotify, and the TuneIn app. And you can find every episode of the podcast to stream online at the same place they found the encrypted clinical trials on Lazarus, SoundCloud.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast. You get the latest news by following @ToonamiFaithful.com on Blue Sky and @Toonami News on Twitter. And read the news, views, and reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com. Ark, tell us about Simudub Saints.
Simudub Saints is a usually, hopefully, optimistically weekly podcast that LK and I do, talking about the shows that are being simuldubed and released in English specifically. So we're in between seasons right now, so our preview of the coming season will be it's next week, LK, or is it the week after?
2 weeks out. Next one is a free run.
And I'm going to be on
started,
both of those.
Yes, you are.
Yep. So yeah, we started actually recording a week in advance to apply buffers. So Sketch was kind enough to actually join us for a marathon session where we recorded 2 episodes at once.
Yes, we did, back to back.
It was an event.
It was. Yeah, it was our canon event.
Yes.
Yeah, come join us and see what the weird things that we respectively like and dislike, and hear us arguing with each other over stupid things. And
oh yes, we do that.
Certainly sounds like a podcast.
Indeed, it is a podcast, that I can guarantee.
Of all the podcasts that exist, it is one.
It is indeed one of them, yes.
It is indeed one of them.
And I'll leave it to LK to recite off where you can find us, because frankly, he's better at remembering that than I am. But yeah, that's Simudub Saints. And aside from that, you wouldn't know me. So that's me.
Mr. No Social Media.
He's the smartest one of us all.
He is the smartest one of us all.
The murders have not yet begun.
Oh shit!
So yeah, to which you can be you can be thank my lack of social media for that. So that's the upside, is the murders have not begun yet. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now.
Nice. Laser, elaborate.
Okay, well, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime and Blue Sky at LaserKid. And yes, Simudub Saint Podcast, which is on YouTube and Spotify podcasts, Simudub Saints, and on social media at Simudub Saints on Blue Sky and Twitter, because I got them both at the same time.
All right. Steven, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me on like every social media platform known to man. It's MXA Ghost. You want to follow me? I don't really care, but I do care at times.
Don't we all? At times. Kuro, tell the folks where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Blue Sky, both at Happy Kuro Kitty. That's me, the one and only. And Sketch, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sketch1984. Also on Blue Sky, Sketch1984. And as previously mentioned, I am on the upcoming episodes of Simudub Saints, where we talk about Freyren and the current spring simulcast selections. There are many shows to talk about.
Oh my! Yes.
And it is the season ever.
It's Isekai season.
And yes, it is very much Isekai season.
Oh my god, yeah. Why won't this trend end?
Oh no, this one is worse than usual. We
easy.
got like all the big ones.
Really is. Yeah, because that was my reaction, is, what else is new? And LK's like, oh no, let me show you what proportion of the lineup is Isekai. So we actually came up with I came up with an idea, and I can't wait to see how LK realizes it for our thumbnail. No, for our thumbnail. To play off the Wabbit season, Duck season, Isekai season.
Oh, good.
And I'll tell you guys. So my thought, we'll see if we can pull it off. But my thought was to find pictures of Bugs and Daffy both look in a holy shit look, and have a truck kun coming at them. So Isekai season.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's good. That's good. I like it.
Very, very good. So thank you for listening to the podcast, whether you tuned in live or listening to the podcast after the fact. We always appreciate your listenership. Be sure to share the podcast with your friends if you think they would be interested. And until next time, please, please, please make sure your sea urchin hasn't expired before you eat it.
Isagi's weapon is all according to Pocket.